Hey guys, happy Monday. As you probably know, I am not there because your sub is standing in front of you. And what I decided to do is post this on Schoology so you guys could just watch this video and then ask the sub for questions if you need it. But the sub should be giving this packet of notes out and the new homework packet, so you guys should be ready to rock with the calendar. You can also look to your right over at the board and you can see what's going on for the week. So we got 4 lessons, and then Friday's just going to be a homework day to make sure you guys are staying caught up. Okay, your test, we'll probably get back your test probably on Wednesday. I gave a bunch of tests on Friday, so I'm still grading it. My daughter is just has a little cold, so we got a COVID test done, and we're just kind of waiting for the results. I'm assuming it's going to be fine. Okay, all right, so let's go. So we got we're going to skip algebra now. We're going to leave it behind us. We did a little intro to that. We're going to move on to geometry. So geometry is for some students, they really like it, but some kids have a hard time with the vocabulary, right? Because if you don't know what complementary means, then you don't know how to answer the question. Okay, I hope that all of you have kind of seen an angle before, just some basic stuff, right? Like this here, this angle down here is angle DBC, right? You basically just say the letters that make the angle. You could say DBC, or you could say CBD. Okay, this little angle up here would be angle ABC. If you wanted this big angle, you can hopefully see this little box in here, right? When you have a box in a corner, I'm sure you guys know this, but just as a review, that means that angle is 90 degrees. So angle ABD, the big angle has the box, and that means that box is 90 degrees. Now, 90 degrees is important, right? You guys try to build a house, you try to do anything, a window, you need your corners to be 90 degrees or the house is going to look pretty jacked up, okay? So this word complementary just means, right, that angles, okay, will add up to 90 degrees. And so if I cover this angle up and I say, hey, look at angle ABC. If you take angle ABC and you add it to the other angle, CBD, it makes a right angle. That is what complementary means. Okay, so it's real simple stuff. They're going to tell us something. Let's say, look, angle CBD. So that means start at C, go through B, and then to D. So if you start at C and you go to B and over to D, it's talking about this angle. They tell us that angle is 66 degrees. Then they're going to ask you something about a different angle. Well, what is, this guy is the measure. That's just a fancy way in geometry to say how big. Okay, what is the measure of angle ABC? So you're looking for this angle ABC. Well, you know that they add up to 90 degrees. So we could just say this real simple thing. Look, 66 plus the measure of angle ABC must equal 90 degrees, right? Well, we just did a whole algebra section where you guys got some good skills now, right? You can now, you notice, subtract 66 from 90, and measure of angle ABC is simply equal to 24 degrees. Okay, so this angle here is 24. And again, you could always check, right? Did I do that right? You should know now that 24 plus 66, that better say 90 right there, because that's what you were trying to get. Okay? Okay, well, what about this guy? Clearly, this is not a little box. This is a straight line, right? So you have a straight line here. And a straight line is 180 degrees. Yeah? Anyone who's ever picked up a skateboard, a surfboard, a board in general, if a snowboard, right? If you flip a 180, you're basically just taking the front of your board, right? You're going this direction, and you do some kickflip or something. I don't know what it's called. I think it's kickflip. Anyways, you kick, right? And you turn all the way around. So it's 180 degrees. And so if you ever have a straight line in geometry, these two angles, that guy and that guy, add up to 180, just like these guys added up to 90. There just happens to be fancy names for that. Supplementary angles are angles that add up to 180. Complementary angles add up to 90. Okay? They're also called a linear pair because they make a line. Right? So that's just a fancy way to say they make a line. Yes, they're supplementary. Adjacent, this guy, is fancy for next to. It's like your neighbor in an apartment complex, right? They live right next to you or they're adjacent. Okay. All right, so they're going to, do the same thing again. If LMP equals 62, right? So let's go find LMP. Start at L, go to M, and then up to P. And if you trace that, you just traced this angle, and they just told me that that is 62 degrees. Find this guy. Well, the whole thing, right? These two angles must add up to 180 because it's a straight line. So if you take 62 degrees and you add the measure of angle PMN, you better get 180. Subtract 62, simple stuff, and you get your answer. And measure of angle PMN is equal to 180 minus 62. What is that? 70, 18, 118. Okay. So I'm sure, hopefully, you guys have heard of these words before. Maybe not. I don't think it's too tough, right? You're just trying to find numbers. Then you can put that up here, right? This would be 118. Add numbers to get 180, and then add numbers to get 90. Okay. All right. Let's talk about vertical angles, and then we'll do this little try it here and see if that might be enough to stop today, and you could just start working on the homework that I covered. Okay. So vertical angles. Vertical angles are directly across from each other. Okay. So like these guys are vertical angles. Vertical leap, right? If you measure your vertical jump in sports, you jump straight up. So these are vertical, but don't get tricked here, right? These guys would also be vertical. Some people are like, well, hey, Carpenter, those aren't vertical because they're side to side. It just means you can turn your paper and they're still, like this guy's now above this guy or below. So they're both two sets of vertical angles. Anytime you guys draw an X, you have two sets of vertical angles. You have the circles, and then you have like these two, maybe these guys are squares. And there's just something you know about them, right? If that's a circle, that's a circle. If that's a square, that's a square. It's that easy. Vertical angles are congruent. Fancy for they're the same exact size. Okay, so if you know this side, you know this side, and vice versa. If you know the top one is this, then you know the bottom. It's really that easy. And so if they tell you something, okay, use the diagram, determine the measures of AEC, DEB, and that if, start here. X is equal to 23 degrees. So this is how easy this is. If this is 23 degrees, the vertical angle, the one straight across, right below in this case, is exactly the same. That's what vertical angles tells you. Now, to get the other two angles, we have to go back and use what we just talked about. Isn't that a straight line? Yeah, this is a straight line. And if this is a straight line, these two angles, right, must add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so I'm looking for that. So I know, right, I think most of you would probably do it this way by starting with 180. That's your total. And then take away what you've already used, right? What's left? 157 degrees. Okay. And then we can use our vertical angle. If this is 157, this is 157. How did I know that? Because vertical angles are the same. We had this guy, so we know this guy. We started with 23 here. That's a circle, that's a circle. 23, 23. Okay. So you could answer all these. You could say the measure of angle AEC. We just found it. AEC was 157. The measure of angle DEB. DEB was also 157. And the measure of angle CEB was 23. Okay. All right. I think that's going to be enough for today with you guys. We can kind of hit the second half of these notes tomorrow when I come back, and we can adjust the calendar if we need to. But I just wanted to get you guys a little lesson. Hopefully you were able to get into Schoology. Obviously you were if you're watching this. And you should have your homework packet now, and you can start doing stuff that goes over this. If you don't know what it's asking you guys, you probably didn't learn it yet, right? Because we didn't finish these notes. So don't stress about that. Just do the homework that seems like covers these things that we talked about. Complementary, supplementary, and vertical angles. Okay? Hope you guys are doing good. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully.